clashes, firing, 4 deaths, and an ugly blame game. The fourth phase of polling in Bengal saw violence today that took 4 lives. Now, initially there were conflicting reports about what happened. It seemed like 2 groups tried to stop each other from voting. That led to an ugly clash. And at some point, the angry mob tried to snatch the guns of the security forces there. There was a scuffle and a clash, and at the end of it, firing by the security forces. We are now given to understand, as per the CISF statement, that there was a misunderstanding between the locals and the CISF soldiers. Soldiers who were there to inquire about the health of a man who had fallen ill and to offer help were mistaken as the ones who led to the problem. And so the locals actually got really angry and then turned into an angry mob. That is the CISF, the poll observers report that we've got. And this is the observers report that has been given to the Election Commission. Meanwhile, the BJP has blamed Mamata's provocative statements against CRPF for the violence. So the BJP has actually said that that is why this took place, because you went ahead and called for a gherav. And this is what has happened today. The TMC, on the other hand, says it's the BJP and their central forces who are acting like goons, and that the central forces and the EC are all acting on the behest of the centre and the BJP. Mamata Banerjee, in an extremely emotional and angry news conference, actually went on to say that it is Amit Shah who's behind this. But this is the comment from April 7th, where Mamata said if you gherav them, they will think no one's voting. And then the other group can go ahead and vote. This is where she said that the CRPF doesn't seem to be working in a neutral manner. So try and talk to them, gherav them, restrain them. She's even got an EC notice for it, to which she's replied saying, no violation of poll code. I wasn't provoking people. I was just telling them to ensure they vote. But BJP has picked this up and said, well, you said it and that's what's happened. So let's open it up for conversation and ask our panelists where they stand on this debate on who really triggered this violence. Om Prakash Singh, spokesperson for the BJP. Manav Jaiswal, spokesperson for the Trinamool Congress. Snigdhendu Bhattacharya, journalist and author of Mission Bengal. And Javed Mansari, senior journalist, also joining us this evening. Let me actually start off with Manav Jaiswal, because Manav, our reporters just got access to the poll observers report that's been sent. And that report says that the CISF officials who were deputed there were actually inquiring about somebody's health and offering help. But the locals were so distrusting that they thought the CISF is responsible for it, and they beat them up and started targeting. Now, who's responsible for creating this kind of mistrust between the two sides?
Well, firstly, I need to say namaskar to India and namaskar to every panelist who's there today. It is really sad, a sad day for Bengal. That what has been witnessed has never happened. It was unprecedented. That what has happened in elections, there were poor people. There was a guy who was just 18 years old. It was his first election. And it is a saddening day, and we have all our compassion with the family of the people who are no more. While I need to highlight few more things which we have got from the press meet earlier, whereas it has been understood that the Election Commission has removed the SP, some important police officers of that particular jurisdiction yesterday. Well, the election was today, and he just deputed someone else, the Election Commission. While our Neti has said, well, we have seen a chronology of these people from the CRPF team, where they have restrained people to go and vote. So she had requested everyone that you go and have some kind of a communication with the people of the CRPF and tell them and convince them that you want to vote, and there is nothing beyond that. While I could not understand that there could not be anything that could not help people to restrain themselves beyond killing. This is something which has gone to a literally extremity. There was no situation as such where you could have just blown out of proportion to go and kill someone. People could have been restrained, people could have been arrested, people could have been taken to count. But this killing is something which is a new model of fear new model of voting? Is this election commission all about killing? Isn't an election commission all about voting? Isn't an election commission allowing people or probably propagating the idea of voting and enjoying the democratic right? What is it? You know trial, nothing, and this is how it is.
And Manav, when there is an angry mob and a bunch of soldiers who get outnumbered by this mob, they're trying to take away their guns, they're trying to break into the polling booths, they're trying to damage the EVMs. If this is what is happening, what is that, what is those set of officers supposed to do? Run for their life? How can they bring under control such a large group of angry people who seem to believe that this CISF is working against them?
Now, I need to tell you something which is very simple and straight. From the ground report, what I have come to know from our team, which is working continuously every moment over there, they have told there was nothing as such because there was no arms and ammunition, no scuffle, nothing. It was just physical assault. Probably it might be, if that is the case. You just cannot just go and shoot someone. You want to say that this is the new president of the country? This is how you're going to propagate the harmony in the state?
Okay.
I need to show you something. I have a video. Ma'am, before going to this, I need to show you a video, just a 2-second video. Just have a look at this.
I can't be running. I know this video that you're showing.
No.
This video that your party has released.
Which is of Locket Chatterjee.
Yes.
Vehicle,
Okay.
where you could see that she has broken the glass from inside.
Actually, I don't think that makes it very clear. It is how you view it.
See it again.
I have seen that video, Manav Jaiswal. Okay, calm down, calm down. Calm down, Manav Jaiswal. Your yelling here on the show is not going to help you win any election. Let's calm down and listen in to everybody else as well. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. You're not the only panelist here. I want to get a response from Om Prakash Singh. Om Prakash Singh ji. इतनी पुलिस फोर्स की डिप्लॉयमेंट, सेंट्रल फोर्स की डिप्लॉयमेंट के बाद ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? क्या लोगों को मैसेज जाएगा? किस तरीके का डर बैठेगा उनके दिमाग में कि वो वोट करने आए और उनको गोली लग गई?
देखिए, एक नॉर्मल पीपुल जो घर से निकलेंगे वोट देने, इस बंगाल का इतिहास रहा है 11 सालों में। एनसीआरबी की रिपोर्ट कहती है कि सबसे ज्यादा पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस पश्चिम बंगाल में होते हैं। 2011 में ममता बनर्जी छाती फाड़कर चिल्ला कर बोलती हैं कि पुलिस और सीपीएम का नेक्सस है, हमें आर्मी दिया जाए, 12 फेज में वोट हो तभी बंगाल बचेगा। वो ममता बनर्जी आज तो आर्मी और पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स तो वोटिंग कराने के लिए आई है। और एक सबसे बड़ी बात आपने अपने प्रोग्राम में, रिपोर्ट में आपने कहा भी, जब मुख्यमंत्री प्रोवोकेशन करें कि जब सीआरपीएफ के लोग रोके उन पे हमला कर दो, कोई नहीं रोकेगा, अरे कहाँ रोक रहे हैं? हमला कर दो, फरसा से घेर दो, मान दो। देखिए, एक मुख्यमंत्री कुछ कहता है तो टीएमसी के लोग तो ऐसे ही बैठे हुए हैं बारूद की ढेर पे, इन्हें तो प्रोवोकेशन चाहिए। ये सारा ममता बनर्जी का किया धरा है और ये हार रही हैं, ये हार चुकी हैं। 4th फेज में भी इनके पैरों तले जमीन नहीं रही। ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट यही है कि बहुत बुरी तरह हार रही। आपने पीके का भी ऑडियो सुना है। इसके पहले ममता बनर्जी ने हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट प्रलय पाल को कॉल किया, वो भी आप लोगों ने सुना है। ये सारे प्रमाण है, ममता के पास जमीन नहीं बची। टीएमसी के लोग हताशा में चैनल पे भी बात कर रहे हैं, बेतुके बात। अरे भाई, आप सीआरपी के ऊपर भरोसा नहीं करते हो, इलेक्शन कमीशन पे भरोसा नहीं करते हो, आप सीबीआई पे भरोसा नहीं करते हो, सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे भरोसा नहीं करते हो, अभी ईवीएम पे भरोसा 2 तारीख के बाद नहीं करोगे। ये ऐसा चलता है क्या?
आप उनसे अलग से लड़ लीजिएगा, पर आपने मेरे सवाल का जवाब अभी तक नहीं दिया कि जहां पे पोलिंग के समय अगर ऐसी गोलियां सेंट्रल फोर्सेस की तरफ से चलेंगी तो वोटर्स के दिमाग में कैसा डर बैठेगा?
देखिए, डर तो होगा निश्चित रूप से, लेकिन एक और बात है कि सीआरपी के बल पे ही ये 82%, 85%, 80 तक जो रिजल्ट आ रहे हैं कि लोग घरों से निकल रहे हैं, तो मैं समझता हूं कि इसको लेकर पुलिस लोगों के मन में भय नहीं है। आज भी हमारे हावड़ा में हुआ, मैंने भी वोट दिया। सीआरपीएफ की बदौलत समझिए कि इतने सारे लोग वोट दे पाए हैं, नहीं तो यहाँ तो घर में बैठ के ही लोग रख देते हैं। और दूसरी बात देखिए, जब आप आर्मी का गन छीनेंगे, आप आर्मी के ऊपर अटैक कर देंगे, चाहे वो सीआरपी हो, सीआईएसएफ हो, तो देखिए स्वाभाविक है वो अपने आत्मरक्षा में एक कदम उठाएंगे, जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। किसी की हत्या नहीं होनी चाहिए, लेकिन ये ममता बनर्जी का उकसावा है। और लोकतंत्र में लोगों को आर्मी पर, सेना पर, सीआरपीएफ पर पूरी भरोसा है। मैं तो कह रहा हूं कि देखिएगा 8 दफे के चुनाव का असली सिरमौर कोई होगा, असली क्रेडिट किसी को जाएगा तो वो चुनाव आयोग और सीआरपीएफ को जाएगा, क्योंकि उन्होंने ये सफल चुनाव कराया।
ओके, अभी खत्म नहीं हुए, तीन फेज और बाकी हैं, बट लेट मी ब्रिंग इन आवर अदर व्यूअर्स एज वेल, पैनलिस्ट एज वेल। जावेद अंसारी, गुड इवनिंग टू यू। While yes, this has been an election largely peaceful for West Bengal, but 4 deaths is really horrifying. How do you read what unfolded today?
Look, this has been building up, and while it's extremely sad and distressing that 4 or 5 innocent lives have been lost, but if you notice over a period, there's been this tremendous build-up from both sides, this heated campaign, the kind of rhetoric, and this no holds barred fight, almost, if I can use the term, fight unto death. I mean, this in many ways, I was just talking to somebody before coming onto your program, and they said, this is a natural corollary. Why should this surprise you? Because the kind of, nobody is willing to take a step back. Nobody is willing to allow tempers to cool down. And when in such a volatile atmosphere, it's not surprising that things go out of hand. Sad as it is, it's not surprising that things have come to such a state where police have fired, where innocent lives have been lost, and irrespective of who wins. But this is a very sad day for electioneering, a very sad day for democracy, where in the exercise of your adult franchise, innocents are shot dead. I mean, what can be a worse comment or a testimony than this?
4 dead and 3 injured. That is what we've been told by the TMC. Snigdhendu, there is merit to what is being said here. No attempts by any of the sides to calm down the tempers. In fact, if at all, with each passing minute, we seem to be adding to the tension here.
Yes, and I wouldn't entirely blame the Trinamool Congress for what happened today. Definitely, Mamata Banerjee and the TMC have been urging people against, and sometimes you may say provoking against the central forces. But then the BJP should answer and explain what did Shubhendu Adhikari's statement mean, that this time it's not Didi's police but Dada's police who will be conducting the elections. What did he mean by Dada's police? Are the CRPF Dada's police? So did the BJP ever oppose Shubhendu Adhikari's statement saying that no, the CRPF is an independent force, this is not Dada's police? So the blame should not be entirely on TMC. The BJP has also tried to create an atmosphere that CRPF and the central forces are by their side. And what impression has other central agencies created? The CBI, the Enforcement Directorate. Why all of a sudden they are always seen active against TMC just ahead of the elections? What were CBI and ED doing about this coal scam and other scams that they are probing now during 2019 and 2020? So you can't blame one party alone. There are multiple parties involved which led to this tragedy that happened today, and 5 innocent lives lost. You may say one BJP supporter, you may say 4 Trinamool supporter. This is not a football match that you can that you compare score, that you compared how many killed on which side. No, 5 lives lost, and every side has the blame to take. And the other thing is that this person just the speaker before me, Mr. Singh, Mr. Om Prakash ji, he said that the credit for more than 80% polling should go to CRPF. He should just look at the Bengal polling record, polling statistics over the past 15-20 years. Bengal has always recorded more than 85, 86% polling in past 20 years. It's a trend that Bengal has. It has high polling rate.
See, the thing is, you are extremely good with history and facts, which is why I love to have you on my debates. But for the BJP, this is their first big challenge in West Bengal. So for them, time starts from now. And perhaps that's why for Mr. Om Prakash Singh, an 80% or an 82% turnout is something new and great for Bengal, for which credit should be given to the CRPF. ओम प्रकाश जी जवाब दीजिए. स्निग्धेंदु कह रहे हैं कि ये बंगाल में तो हमेशा यही स्टैटिस्टिक्स रहती है, इसमें नया क्या है?
उनकी जानकारी अधूरी है। 22 वर्षों से राजनीति में हूँ। वोट छाप कर 90% का वोटिंग कराना और स्वतः स्फूर्त लोगों का लाइन लगा के वोट करना, दोनों में बहुत डिफरेंस है। और ये उनको एक लाइन इसमें भी बोलना चाहिए कि मैं जो एनसीआरबी की रिपोर्ट ऐसी क्यों है, वाई पॉलिटिकल वायलेंस क्यों है इतना बंगाल में? भाई ये तो 2 महीने पहले बिहार में चुनाव हुए, एक गोली चली क्या? कश्मीर में डीडीएससी चुनाव हुए, गोली बूथ छापा गया क्या? बहुत बड़े बड़े बात कर रहे हैं। क्यों होता है बंगाल में ऐसा? ये क्यों होता है?
ठीक है, आई नो मानव वांट्स टू मेक अ पॉइंट, बट ये क्योंकि सवाल स्निग्धेंदु से है, उनको जवाब देने दीजिए, देन आई विल गो टू मानव। Snigdhendu, we're not able to hear you. The line is breaking. You may want to repeat what you just said.
Yeah, I just want.
Okay, let me try and fix that line with him. A bad connection there. But Manav Jaiswal, you wanted to make a point. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, हमारे जो मित्र हैं, the friend of mine from the BJP, though he might be very old and it could be a vintage kind of a person who has got to know that what the election is all about. Bengal has always been casting their vote, and every woman in Bengal, they celebrate voting, their right of voting. While I want to bring into some count is like what happened yesterday. Just yesterday, when the Election Commission removed the ADG law and order, where they removed from Cooch Behar, the DM, the SP, the ICs of most of the police stations were removed. We have a complete intuition that what actually transpired for today's killing. It's about scary. You have to, this is a fear mongering of the BJP because they know if the people come to vote, they would not definitely vote for them. That is what the BJP is doing, and that is what has been the chronology of last few elections, the 3 days that the 3 phases that we have received. Whereas the election machines, the EVM machines are stopped working. They don't work for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. People are waiting. Now there have been a problem with the battery. Now there's a problem with the shooting. Now there are shot people dead, which will never come back to life again. This is sad, and it's basically the killing of democracy.
ये बताइए मानव जायसवाल, answer this point of the BJP, then why is it happening in West Bengal, and then how do you link it to the BJP? It didn't happen in Bihar. There was no such problem in Bihar or Tamil Nadu this time around, or Assam, or even Kerala.
Now I'll tell you very straight. Now when you're comparing the other states, you have to compare BJP in Bengal. What BJP has done in the last few years, they have taken a lot of turncoats, which these people are not happy with. The old BJP, like vintage holder, my friend Mr. Om Prakash Singh, he is basically one of the oldies. He is not really happy. Probably the other people also were not really happy with the turncoats. So what is happening? There's a fight between the BJP new and the BJP old. Now the old glass with the new wine, probably they are not tasting it fine. And the new glass with the old wine, definitely there is not a synergy. And that synergy is boiling down to the killing. Now what is really happening is what we are talking today is about yesterday's action of the Election Commission. If the Election Commission had some senses, or probably they must have done their groundwork while they were doing the election, they could have known that there is no point removing the ADT law and order, the IC. You know, there was the IC, the inspector in charge of the local thana, the local police station, who knows every corners of the lanes of the particular place, a particular mohalla. What did the Election Commission do? They removed them, they removed the SP, they removed the DM. Why was that? Everybody was removed overnight. Just tomorrow is the election and today you are removing everyone. Who is responsible for that?
Okay, you have raised a couple of points. You have raised a couple of points that I want to get a response on. Om Prakash, आप पहले जवाब दें.
That is on record. That is on record.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
I need to also know why there is a delay in some booths. Why is the delay? Why is the
one at a time. मानव बहुत सारे सवाल पूछ लिए आपने. Let him answer. Yes.
टीएमसी के प्रवक्ता हो या मुख्यमंत्री हो या मंत्री हो, सही सवालों का सही जवाब ये नहीं दे पाएंगे. इनको भागना पड़ेगा. एक सवाल का जवाब नहीं दे पाए कि वाई इन वेस्ट बंगाल, क्यों नहीं बिहार में कोई गोली चली? भाई क्यों नहीं? एक सवाल का जवाब.
अरे भैया बोले आप लोग दूसरी बात नए लोगों से आपका समझ में नहीं है. नहीं आपस में झगड़ा चल रहा है.
नहीं तो
सुन लीजिए
मेरी
अपने पुराने लोग मारे जा रहे हैं, नए लोग.
आप मेरे भाई सुन लीजिए. आप बोल रहे थे, मैं सुन रहा था.
Okay. 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Manav, 1 minute. Manav and Om Prakash Singh, especially Manav Jaiswal, you've come on my show, I believe, for the first time. Let me just lay out the rules for you. We listen to each other here on this show. We don't constantly yell over each other. That's some of the other channels may do that. We just listen to each other. You've made your point. Let Om Prakash now respond.
No, he could not understand. I could have given him a statement कि भैया बीजेपी पुराने बीजेपी नए में आप लोगों का झगड़ा हो रहा है, वही आप लोगों का परिचय सामने आ रहा है, पूरे देश को देखा जा रहा है और ये भी देखा जा रहा है कि जिस तरीके से आपकी एमपी खुद के ग्लास को तोड़ती हैं और ये बोलती हैं कि भैया बाहर के लोगों ने मार दिया, बंगाल को खंडित ना करें, बंगाल की अस्मिता को मैं हाथ जोड़ के आपसे विनम्र निवेदन करता हूं और आपके पार्टियों से निवेदन करता हूं.
Okay. Yes. Om Prakash. I need to go to the other panelists as well. I have questions for our experts. Om Prakash.
ये एक तरह से भागना है इन लोगों को. बंगाल से भी ये भागेंगे. क्वेश्चन को छोड़ के देखिए, हो सकती है मेरी बोलने की अंग्रेजी कमजोर हो, मैं अंग्रेजी समझता बहुत अच्छे से हूँ. ये बीजेपी नई पुरानी बीजेपी नहीं है, लड़ाई तो नहीं है और पुरानी तृणमूल
टीएमसी की है.
हाँ जी, जो तृणमूल से सीपीएम वालों को इन्होंने भरा है, ये टीएमसी है. मेरा
वही टीएमसी से अब आपने बीजेपी को भर दिया है.
मैं बता रहा हूँ मैडम.
Okay. Snigdhendu is back with us. So political representatives to take a deep breath. Snigdhendu is back with us. उनको जवाब देना था उनसे जो सवाल पूछा गया था. Snigdhendu, let's see if we can hear you.
Yes. So what was earlier that there is so much political violence in Bengal.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that violence is a curse to the society, and there is no society which has no violence. In states, from states area to area, the character of the violence is. In some states, if you just look at the NCRB data of the past 10 years, or from you will see some states have very high rates of caste violence. Some states have very high rates of communal violence. Bengal's caste is political violence. Anything takes a political color here. So that is the difference. Violence, you can't show a single state that has no.
Okay, I want to take this point and this debate on what's happening in Bengal and can it be blamed on BJP to Mr. Javed Ansari as well. The point by the BJP is, Mr. Ansari, then why is it only happening in Bengal and how do you blame it on us? It didn't happen in Bihar, it didn't happen in any of the current rounds poll-bound states.
Look, the fact is that neither of the two main contestants, the TMC or the BJP, comes out smelling of roses. Neither of them are innocent. Both have contributed to varying degrees in this heightened tension and this volatile atmosphere that we are witnessing in Bengal today. Bengal has been a very political state and violence, poll violence, and it's not new to poll violence. But this unprecedented level of, the toxic rhetoric and the kind of tension that you see now hasn't been seen in a very long time. And all this has contributed to do not look at what has happened today as an isolated case. If you observe, for me, I'm sitting several hundred miles away from Bengal, and therefore, sometimes distance lends a certain amount of objectivity and clarity. It does appear that everything has just come together, and this was we were sitting on a powder cake which was about to burst, and part of it has burst now. We do hope that even at this late stage, with 3 rounds more to go, sanity will prevail, and they'll at least, leaders, the top leadership of both sides will scale down their rhetoric. But because this kind of severe rhetoric, this kind of, hell for leather, it's one thing to win elections. Bengal has to survive, and all lives have to go on even after elections. So
how do we do that now, Mr. Ansari? For example, today Mamata Banerjee came out and said, I am repeatedly appealing for peace and I am repeatedly appealing for calm. I have nothing against the central forces and the soldiers who are there. I have a problem with, what the center is doing. But that still pushes the whole narrative of distrusting the central forces.
Look, you can't hold it against her for distrusting. But certainly there is a limit to everything. There's also a limit to the kind of language that the central leadership is using. There is also a limit to the way the agencies are being put to use only against political opponents. like I said, there is nobody here which is smelling of roses. There are no innocent parties. Everybody just needs to take a step back and take a deep breath.
Okay, Manav wants to make a point. Go ahead, please.
No, I would take this opportunity to make sure that what Didi has said earlier statements as well. In most of the rallies, Didi has said that you don't get agitated. Apnara agitation is jabanna, apnara samvad korun. That is what she has said. That you communicate with the people, go and vote, keep peace, keep calm, because people are there to intimidate you, people are there to attack you. You take that thing for a while and just go and vote, because that is where the election is all about. That is where the democracy stands. That is where the button has to be pushed. Whatever agony that you have, just push the button hard. The more the harder the button, the better is for the TMC. That is what Didi has been praying to everyone. Now, what is the problem with the BJP? Because they know they cannot be winning the elections. They know that they are losing everything. That is why this thing, Eta Didi police noy, Dada police ache. Shubhendu Adhikari has blatantly, and that is what there's been action where he's doing like this, where he's actually showing people that he's going to be smashing people off. This is what Shubhendu Adhikari is all about. Now I'll give you one small chronology that what has happened in the past of Bengal, whereas when CPM was there, when CPM was doing a lot of atrocities, they used to go and do massacre. It was like massacre time in Bengal, and where we took a lot of beating. We had lost 1,100 odd people, our soldiers of the All India Tribunal Congress. They were also Bengalis. They were part of Bengal, which voted for the UNAIN in 2011. It took a lot of courage, a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance. Now we are there. Now what has really happened, a lot of people from the CPM and the TMC, the old TMC cadres, they have moved into BJP, and they have this thing, they need to prove something. They need to
But in that sense, isn't it just old TMC versus new TMC?
No, man, it's not about the new TMC or the old TMC, because nobody is new in the TMC. TMC is the old TMC which is there for the last 15, 20 years. Now the TMC which was there, they have been gone to the BJP, they have been signed. Now the problem is you could relate it to how Babul Supriyo completely declined the entry of Jitendra Singh, which is in Asansol, Durgapur area. Shubhendu Adhikari was started by Dilip Ghosh. So there are a lot of stalwart problems which is happening on the ground level. Even people like Rajiv Banerjee, who has been a turncoat, he had a lot of problems within the own people whom he trusted till yesterday. They have gone ahead and against him. Now this is what is happening with the BJP in and the BJP in A.
Okay, now, I have two more questions, so I'm going to quickly move on this.
My Netri has requested the people of Bengal to be in peace, wait on the 2nd of May, go and vote. That result
Okay, let's hope people listen to Mamata Banerjee and believe her request for peace that she's now made today. Now, you raised a point earlier that Om Prakash Singh must respond to, because this is the TMC asking this question. Om Prakash ji, लॉकेट चैटर्जी के साथ क्या हुआ? टीएमसी ने एक वीडियो डाला है और वो कह रहे हैं इस वीडियो को तो देख के ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो गाड़ी का कांच अंदर से तोड़ा था।
देखिए, पहले तो मैं अपने भाई के सवाल का जवाब दे दूं कि बड़ा अच्छे से बोले कि ममता बनर्जी ने पीस शांति बनाए रखे क्या आवेदन किया। ये इस पर एक लाइन बोल पाए क्या? यही ममता बनर्जी है कि पैरामिलिट्री सीआरपीएफ के लोग आएंगे तो तलवार से हमला कर दो, फरसूल से हमला कर दो, छोलनी से हमला कर दो, महिलाओं को उकसा रही, उस पर एक शब्द बोल पाए क्या? यही ममता बनर्जी है जो बोलती है बहिरागत तो एरा चेरू इधर काऊ के देवा जाबे ना बांग्ला।
No. Okay, let's not say things that she hasn't said.
नहीं,
I think उन्होंने जो बोला वो बहुत क्लियर है। अब उसमें आप ऊपर से मिर्च मसाला मत डालिए। वो इलेक्शन कमीशन देख लेगा उस कमेंट का क्या मतलब था और क्या बोला गया था।
प्रोवोकेशन पे इनका एक जवाब लीजिए ना, क्यों उन्होंने किया?
महिलाओं को बोला जिस तरीके से तारकशी में दुराचार हुआ, मीडिया से दुराचार हुआ, जो कि नाबालिग बिटिया है, उसके बाद और कुछ लोगों
नहीं, मीडिया की बात नहीं थी, उन्होंने ओपनली बोला है, लोगों को भड़काया है। ये कौन सा तरीका? आप प्रोवोकेशन करेंगे तो सीआरपीएफ लोग और बीजेपी के लोग शांत रहेंगे क्या?
लेकर रखिए, उन्होंने तलवार की बातें नहीं करी, उन्होंने हंसो हथौड़ी की बातें नहीं करी। इनको पता नहीं कहाँ से ये अनर्गल बातें इनकी आ जाती हैं।
अरे आप कलछुल क्या होता है? सुनिए, आप हमला कराने को प्रोवोकेशन करते हैं, क्या होता है? आप एक मुख्यमंत्री हो गया, आप प्रोवोकेशन करिएगा, पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स पे हमला करवाइएगा। आपको तो पहले देखना चाहिए ये चीज।
हम दोनों शादीशुदा हैं, हो सकता है कभी बेलन से हम भी मार खाए होंगे अपनी पत्नी से। क्या तकलीफ है? बोलिए, नहीं तकलीफ नहीं है।
नहीं, देखिए वो दूसरी बात है। पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे एक मुख्यमंत्री का
ओके, दिस कन्वर्सेशन इज नॉट गोइंग एनीवेयर। आप ओम प्रकाश जी वो सवाल का जवाब दीजिए। लॉकेट चैटर्जी को लेकर जो दूसरा वीडियो टीएमसी ने निकाला है, उनका कहना है कि ये अंदर से हो, एंड आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक दिस पॉइंट बिकॉज लोग ना इस साइड को बिलीव कर सकते हैं ना उस साइड को. Both sides are equally dramatic, equally great at making these big allegations with absolutely no evidence to support. And ये दोनों साइड से अब यही खेल चल रहा है बंगाल में. ओम प्रकाश सिंह
जी, देखिए ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा, एक बात कहूंगा, ये मिर्च मसाला लगाकर वीडियो बनाना, फेक वीडियो बनाना, फेक पोस्ट करना, अल्टर करना, एडिट करना, टीएमसी के पास कुछ बचा नहीं है. पिछले जितने ऑडियो टेप हो या वीडियो टेप हो, टीएमसी उसमें पकड़ी गई है, साबित हुआ. ये तृणमूल के लोगों ने बनाया. अब मुझे बताइए ना, जेपी नड्डा के कार के ऊपर जब हमला हुआ तो उस समय भी कहा गया कि फेक है, खुद से करवा लिए. तो देखिए ये पूरी तरह से टीएमसी की हताशा है, ये पराजित हो रही है ये लोग, और इसलिए इनको पास कोई जवाब नहीं है इस तरह से वीडियो लेकर आए. अरे भाई, अगर उनको लगता है कि वो फेक है तो देखिए लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की मॉनिटरिंग इसी करता है. लेकिन अभी भी राज्य सरकार कह रही, आप जांच करवाए ना लॉकेट चैटर्जी के ऊपर हमले का, प्रमाणित होता आप कार्रवाई करें. आपके पास अभी भी है, मॉनिटरिंग इसी करती है, सब कुछ इसी नहीं करती है, होल सोल इसी नहीं है, मॉनिटरिंग करती है. तो आप कार्रवाई करें, FIR करवाएं. आपको लगता है कि वो अगर लॉकेट ने खुद से किया.
That is the video that we are playing, the one that TMC is quoting, and I think Manav is also trying to show that on his phone. That was the same video. The point that I was trying to make it from both sides. When Mamata Banerjee gets injured and claims that the BJP was behind the attack on her, it's the same kind of a tutu meme we see when BJP candidates and sitting ministers and members of parliament claim there was an attack on them.
This is not fair. This is not fair.
At the end of the day, there is no evidence on either of the sides. But I want to go back up to the point about CRPF and Snigdhendu from your own view. The constant narrative that is being built around security forces, how is it really working on ground? How is it impacting people's view? Is it making them fearless or fearful?
See, the scenario is entirely polarized. I mean, about every central agency. Those who are opposed to TMC, they support every act of central agency that may trouble the TMC. Those who support TMC oppose every move of the central agency. And there is a clear narrative and polarization on the ground in the farthest of the villages. The TMC supporters say the central agencies, all central agencies, are with the BJP, and the BJP and even left supporters, they say that central agencies are the only option because the state agencies are with the TMC. The polarization is actually a very dangerous situation because there is no iota of trust on any agency, be it state agency, be it central agency.
Actually, yeah, it does boil down to the fact that it's highly polarized now. So you're either on this side or that side, and then you want to believe that narrative. I'm completely out of time. But thank you to the political representatives from TMC and BJP. Thank you to Mr. Javed Mansari and Snigdhendu. Viewers, at the end of the day, we're still waiting for EC's final report on this. But what we do know now is from CISF and from Poll Observer's report that there seem to have been some misunderstanding and that the locals attacked the CISF. There was an angry mob and a clash that happened there, and at some point the CISF soldiers opened fire. 4 people are dead in Cooch Behar today during voting process. Think about it. Is this the way we want elections to be taking place in 2021? That's food for thought. Thank you for joining us.